Hey everyone, we are here in Jerusalem. In fact, we're standing above the Hinnom Valley. I'm here with Erez Sasson. And Erez, as I look at this place, there's a lot of history here and a lot of history that's not good, but it's biblical and historic. And fill us in a little bit on this.
Yes, Pastor Tom. Well, we're again at the southern side of Jerusalem in biblical time. If it's from the time of David or Solomon or Hezekiah or Yeshua, this would be the southern border of the city. Throughout the year, the city was destroyed and rebuilt so many times. Destruction from earthquakes or for enemies coming and destroying it. But eventually, from the year 1033 onwards, the city was built much more to the north. So the wall of the city, the southern wall of the city, is way further to where we are now. But the Ben Hinnom Valley, the southern valley, is in fact the southern border of the city. Ben Hinnom, when we have this connotation to Hebrew, it always gives us a bad feeling. Because in Hebrew, the word for valley is the word either guy or gay. You put it together with Ben Hinnom, the son of Hinnom, gay Ben Hinnom, you get Gehenom or Gehenna, which is one of the references to hell. So you do understand something terrible happened here throughout history. Outside of the city would be a proper place for burying your dead. Burying your dead inside the rock, inside the valley area, or burning them. But also we connect to another terrible story from scriptures where people, beforehand Gentiles, but also Jews, wanted to offer their children here to the God, right down here. In the time of King Manasseh of Judea, or Ahaz, they did it.
We'll be back with the rest of the video in just a minute, but I just wanted to talk to you just for a second about this and invite you to come to Israel, whether it be with me or somebody else who believes the Bible. It's just absolutely an incredible experience. You'll get to go to the Sea of Galilee. You'll see the synagogue that is there in the area of Magdala. Absolutely incredible. Think of Mary Magdalene coming from that area. You get to see Capernaum, Tiberias, be on a boat on the Sea of Galilee, and then of course Jerusalem, the Mount of Olives, the Garden of Gethsemane, so much more that is there. But again, hey, listen, we're going to get back to the video in just a second, but I want to encourage you. You don't have to go with me to Israel, but go with someone who believes the Bible is true, understands that Jesus is coming again, can connect all of the dots for you, and you will be blessed. Well, let's get back to the rest of this video. It's really good, very informative, with my guest, Erez Sasson. Judah was being judged because of their wickedness. They had turned to the pagan practices. Their worship at the temple was false. And so in this place, they had detestable acts within their hearts, even at the temple itself and in their own homes. The kings, the priests, the false prophets rejected the words of prophets like Jeremiah. But here, they would supposedly do what they considered their righteous themselves to have righteous acts, and God's saying what you're doing is detestable, what you're doing is evil. And the Hinnom Valley represents all that as we look here. And then when we go from here, we look at the time of Jesus where he used it to describe, as you said, Gehenna, the place where the fires never quenched, and the place of refuse and everything else. Really bad history here, but also we think of the potter's field in Judas too.
We don't know for sure. We don't have X marks the spot, but the idea, the tradition, the theory is that it would be just beyond the Ben Hinnom Valley, and I'll explain. In Judaism, you do not kill or bury inside the city. It's always outside of the city. You have to keep the city pure. If you come upon blood or a dead being, you have to purify yourself. So the city has to be pure at all times, especially the holiest city in the world, Jerusalem, right? So it had to be outside, beyond the valley area. And that area in front of us that is barren, that is without structure, the grassy area with one or two trees over there, that is considered to be the area of Hakeldama in Arabic, the land of blood. And if I go back 2,000 years, there's a good chance that I'm pointing to Potter's Field right now. And if so, which I believe it's so, then Judah must have hung himself just beyond the valley in that barren area. And later on the coins would be buried beside him. And you know what, Pastor, there's a history even beyond that time, because this area of Hakeldama, the land of blood, or Potter's Field, would be the place where Christians would be buried throughout the years. Think about pilgrims coming here in the Byzantine period, 1,500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. In the Crusader period, let's say, they would make their way to the land of Israel after months of journeying. It would be harsh, it would be difficult. Eventually they would make it. A lot of them told themselves beforehand, well, I'm not going to return back home to a journey of a few months. It's not like jumping off on a plane and heading back home. No, they would have to walk a long distance. A lot of them knew that they were going to die here, so they would intend that. They would eventually die in the Holy Land and would be buried right over there. In the Crusader period, they even had a monastery. Right now we see where the sheep are and the shepherd, right, with some goats. They would have a monastery there, and they would take care of the Christian that would die. They would bury them or burn the bodies around that area. So there was continuous death and burial around this area. If it's the Ben Hinnom Valley, or even beyond it in the area of what tradition says it's Potter's Field.
Wow. So think of all the bad stuff coming to light right here. Just looking at this place, you can see the hills, you can see a cliff, you see all these things. Just amazing to have this time with you here in Jerusalem. Thank you very much, Erez, for another fantastic insight to this place where we are standing. Hey, listen, everyone, thank you for watching this. And listen, if you can, we would love to have you join us in Israel on one of our visits, both Erez and myself. If you can't join us, be sure to join somebody. You're going to be really blessed, but make sure that they actually believe that the Bible is true, both the Old Testament and New Testament. And until next time, God bless.